869. Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and those who will inspire otherwise, for what surely will be one spectacular evening of racing. As we are back with the SSRI GT3 Sprint Championship. Of course, it's the 9th season, so one away from the big anniversary. And we start this one off here at the mighty Kyalami track. A track that have seen many good battles over the last couple of seasons and years that we have been here. Wonderful track, one of my personal favorites, not just because I like saying the Klondikes, but it is a wonderful track to go racing at, fast and flowing. Not that difficult in a more technical aspect of driving, but a track that leans itself well to side-by-side action and racing that we'll surely be seeing a lot of this evening. I am Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver, and behind the cameras, as always, our Grandpa Chris Hill, who might have a few things that he wants to share with us in regards of upcoming events and seasons that he's totally not prepared to put up on the screen yet, but he surely will be in a few moments as we enjoy the wonderful scenery here around Kyalami. A track that we actually do get some nice information up on the screen. It's of course the SSRI GT3 Tuesday night series, the 9th season. As you can see, we start here at Kyalami with the famous 60 minutes of the track. I think last time we went here with the 75 minutes at Kyalami, which is quite different in terms of strategies and racing, but we'll come back to that later on. Before, in 2 weeks' time, we head off to the mighty Misano for another 60 minutes of racing. Once again, also one of my personal favorites. Actually, I think it's 5 tracks that I would fare very well on if I went racing this season myself, if I should say so myself. But that will be 60 minutes at Misano next time out in 2 weeks' time. Followed up by Mount Panorama and the mighty 75 minutes off the mountain. Tricky track to survive, of course, but again, we'll get more into that later on in the season, followed by Zandvoort, and then we'll finish off at Valencia for a mighty season finale at a tricky track, especially when it comes to track limits. 60-minute races, 1 mandatory pit stop, tires must be changed. 75-minute races, 1 mandatory pit stop, and fueling must be done. So optional whether or not you take tires in these 75-minute races, and that will surely be a thing to look out for those. We have seen people taking the tires and winning. We have seen people going to the very second to last lap almost, and just taking a splash and dash and winning. So those races surely will be interesting once we get there. Yes, please. And we also have a nice Sunday league coming up. Not saying that will be any less of an action-packed racing season, but the Sunday league, sort of say Sunday nights season 1, starting off on the 6th of April at the Nürburgring GP, a track that have been a little bit overlooked as of late after the Nordschleife have been released, followed up by a 90-minute race at Donington Park, the famous sausage race ray of Donington Park, before heading on to Barcelona, Kyalami, and then the Circuit of the Americas to finish off the season at. Once again, great opportunity to go racing. If you are not that available on Tuesdays, then the Sunday league might be something for you. Of course, you can race Tuesdays and Sundays as well. It's all up to you out there. If you want to go racing, there are plenty of opportunities to do so in the upcoming months here, the SSRI racing community. Interested in following or joining us for racing, you can go sign up at simgrid.com, Simsport Racing International. You can surely find us there. The endurance series, we should say, not a particular season, but series. This time it will be starting off at the Hungaroring, 6 hours on the 15th of March, which we actually have had already, so scratch that. Next one will be the Lone Star race at Circuit of the Americas, 10 hours of the great American racetrack. Something that a lot of drivers actually for some reason don't enjoy racing there. Personally, I love it. technical track and wonderful to drive. Brands Hatch 6 hours there in the third race of the series. Surely it will be challenging endurance-wise to go racing there before 12 full hours at the Red Bull Ring. Even more challenging short track, a lot of cars on that. Traffic management will be key in those two races before the season, or the series we should say, finishes off in July at Kyalami for the 9-hour event there. A lot of Kyalami this time around, so get your South African ready and learn to speak the language, as we'll be heading there quite a lot. So yeah, also good indication this time around to see who's quick there or not. A track guide is coming up at Kyalami. I can't remember all of the corners in my head, but I'll try and learn them during this evening of racing. Start, finish straight. Full speed, of course. That small kink that turns a little bit to the right, long pit exit line that leaves you on the inside for turn 1. Very sharp. It's above above 90 degrees when you turn left. Track narrows in a little bit before the quick right left-hander that goes into sort of the setup for, what's it called, Sunset or something like that, the one at the end of this one, the long right-hander, but it sets it up nicely. A lot of lines can be taken through. We have seen 3-man wide into this particular corner, long right-hander, many different ways of taking it. We have seen some people taps the brakes, some people just lifts off, early apexes, late apexes before the left-hander coming into Mineshaft, or is that the one we can see down in the bottom part of the screen? But nevertheless, tricky left right-hander where track limits will be a thing. Not all the cars like those curves a lot, as they are quite big. Up to the 180 or around 180 degree corner, blind entry. Difficult to find your braking zone getting into. I think the next one would be Mineshaft, actually. Difficult to find your place there, but very important to get early on the throttle and the exit as you head down here through probably Mineshaft before we go into the crocodiles. I think I can remember the names of these, because that would be the important ones. Slow right-hander, a lot of overtaking will be done there before we head into Cheetah, I believe, with the treacherous sausage on the inside that have thrown a lot of drivers off in the last couple of years before the final corner. Of course, again, very important to get early on the throttle to set up the overtakes at the end of the back straight. Quite important at Kyalami to maximize that exit speed that you need the top end to get the overtakes done around here. We have seen the McLaren actually struggle quite a bit racing wise around here, but pretty good in qualifying. We have seen, as I'm just trying to spell a bit here, a lot of good qualifying laps and single laps for the McLaren qualifying wise, but once it comes to the actual racing, it's not that good, as it struggles a little bit with the overtaking around here. Just trying to spill a little bit here. Racing circuit, something like that. I think I spilled it roughly right, so I could get a Mineshaft are the left hand on the back straight, and Zero Cup on the above 180 degree corner. But nevertheless, we are somewhat, I'm just messing around with screens, live with qualifying with the first track action this season. 3 classes are racing in this championship. We have the pro class indicated with the white backgrounds and black numbers, the semi-pros with the silver background, white numbers, and then the aim class with the red background and black numbers. As we are following around Odelman around here for the warm-up, or the outlap we should say, of qualifying, going through Mineshaft and his Aston Martin. Interesting to see if he will put up the challenge to Mr. Michael Thomas this season. Michael Thomas going for the Mustang, which could be interesting to see if he can put on those mighty laps times in that car as well. Defending champion in the Nissan of all cars. last time out, so this one will be interesting. We were talking to him, and he was considering the Aston Martin, the Jaguar, which we think he should have taken just for the sake of it. And it would be fun to see if he could keep up pace in that car in particular. Ottleman starts his flying lap. Coming into the first corner, just a little bit of explanation to the track map. Yellow dots are cars that are causing yellow flags. White dots are cars that are going slow. The red dot are the cars that we are following. Gray dots are cars on valid laps, and blue dots are cars on invalid laps. And hence you can see the big ass queue going through Cheetah and into the final corner, the Ingef, which I might have pronounced right, might not have. Hard to say, difficult, but nevertheless on board with Ottleman. Going through the S's. See how much of that exit curb, using all of the AstroTurf available. I think that's valid. I think if you get both wheel sets onto the curbing, then it will become invalid. So I think that one was pretty good, as some weird stuff have popped up on my screen for unknown reasons. That's not letting me shut it down. Now it did. Through mine shaft and into the crocodiles. Still looks good. Now we see the Cheetah, that curb on the inside. Look at that that yellow sausage. That's so big, and with these speeds, just touching it a little bit will have almost sent your car flying into the gravel trap. Easy, very easy to lose control through that corner. Fendrile first car to set a valid lap time. Ottleman immediately beats it with 0.8 of a second. And then Michael Thomas goes in with the 140.7. I do reckon that we'll see lap times that are quite a bit quicker than that here in qualifying. Fredriksson going up, almost matching his former Nissan teammate, sort of ish. On the initial lap, Michael Thomas here in the very, very carbon fiber Aston Martin CERX Point Racing would be the team name of Michael Thomas's entry this season. On board with the Mustang. As we try and head around the circuit. That's not how you take that corner, Mr. Thomas. I think that's a little bit too much green underneath the car. You know, as they say, when black goes to green, you're in trouble, and that one surely will make this lap not count for Michael Thomas. But again, just getting practice in with the car, of course, new car for him this season. Going from one beast to another, sort of, say, from the Nissan to the Ford. Going across the seas. For Mr. Thomas, most drivers have put a first flying lap in. Liam Walsh of the PS UK team, he could be an outsider for the championship this time around. He had a very, very strong competition last season, and he could potentially be up there this time around as well. He was challenging Michael Thomas in a few races, so let's see what happens here. Too wide there for Liam Walsh, who will have assistance on track from his PS UK teammates, which we'll definitely get a look at some point in this season as well. Andy King, for example. I think there's one more PS UK driver, if I'm not mistaken, but Andy King, one of the drivers who could potentially be a helping factor for Liam Walsh, both in the Ferrari as almost always for the PS UK guys. They surely have something, have some experience in the car, and they will share their experiences and set up tips and tricks with each other on that team and get that car operating at full function. So they could be some of the guys to look out for, especially Liam Walsh. Andy King, they were to count out of competition, as he can do some wonderful lap times from time to time and are extremely solid when it comes to actual racing. So that will be fun later further down the line as well. Lapping the traffic, that does does King. Keeping it much cleaner there than his teammate Walsh did. Around the corner to the start-finish straight. Let's see if King improves from 13th. He does, jumps up to 7th as Van Liebenstein have actually taken personal pole in the Honda. He also showed that car had some pace last season, so he will be in it again. He will also be in it to try and give it something for top contention. Michael Thomas beats him out initially as he comes across the line again. Van Liebenstein not to set a lap, but to start a lap. Fredriksson also into the top 3, or keeps in top 3, but jumps into 2nd. With Nick Vargas finding a lot of speed this season, also it looks like early on. Vargas in 4th at the minute, best placed of the Mode 11 drivers. He will have Van Melis and I believe Richardson maybe drives this season as well to talk to within the team. Special livery this time out for the Mode 11. I've never seen that iteration of the livery, the green and yellow. There might be a story with that. And not just that they are Green Bay Packers fans and rocks the green and yellow, green and yellow, green and yellow. Around the corner he goes. Let's see if Nick Vargas improves. He needs 7/10 to take pole position away. He does improve, but still in 4th. 0.5 down. Liam Walsh. Looks to be improving by quite a bit of time, but it will be enough to see him jump up a few positions. He does have a Porsche ahead of him that seems to be going out of the way. Yeah, bail into the pits it looks like. Let's see as he comes across the line. As he does climb the table up into provisional 2nd for Liam Walsh there. Strong lap as we see the Mustang behind just evading. Likely that was Van Melis. It looked like the orange and black iteration of the Mode 11 car. Griesig improves to 9th in the lucky 13th car. Oh, and we have 2 Kings this time around. Interesting. Very interesting. Benjamin King being the 2nd King in a Lamborghini. At the minute, very close to Andy King. Just trying to find yourself some racing room on the track can be a little bit of a challenge with so many cars out there. And that might be what Benjamin is struggling with. We did see him go very slowly down the start-finish straight and came out in front of the Porsche that also seems to be on an invalid lap. So probably just an attempt of finding just a little bit of racing room to try and optimize qualifying. Really don't want to be in traffic for a qualifying lap time. That will cost you so much time. Having to negotiate other traffic. Jolie Peters currently set in the 9th position, the Belgian driver of Hub Auto Racing. Improving to 6th position in the 992 Porsche. New names are emerging in the top 10 this season. Also good to see the Porsches up there. Car that haven't seen so much love the last couple of seasons, but could be getting back into it. There are a few of them on the grid. A car that a lot of people see as the sort of the poster boy for what GT3s are. If you're thinking of GT3s, then you're very likely thinking of a car like the Porsche. Looks wise, at least. speaking of GT3s, the next season of LMU starts in about a month's time, and there are still entries, especially in the LMGT3 class. There are possibilities to go race there, sharing the track with the hypercars, of course. Just putting a little bit of a commercial out for that. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification for, or the bell for notifications for when we go live, as Chris Winning seemed to have a little bit of traffic there. And bails out of the lap. Going into the pits with a 7:30 to go. Not a lot of cars in the pits at the minute. It does seem like that the drivers out there just trying to find the room on track, as you can quickly have a lap disrupted by being in slow traffic around you. Mick Shellikens in the semi-pro class. Around giving chase, and McLaren ahead of him is into a dirty air, will help him down on the run to the start finish line, getting that little bit of a tow. Let's see if he jumps from 28th position when he crossed the line to 25th. Still a little bit of a way up to class pole, but not too far away, not unrealistic for Shellikens to aim for that. Further down the order, Bavard in the AM class in the BMW, the THRC driver. And as always in the 73 car. Mounting Leo Cup onto the back straight, leading into Mineshaft. Difficult corner, Mineshaft. If you are side by side, getting the car lined up correctly for the crocodiles are not easy if you are doing that, but that's where we can see the overtakes into Cheetah, almost on that sausage. I don't think he could have cut that anymore before getting onto the sausage. Good lines from Van der Vaart, also using maximum track on the exit. Jumps from 41st to 38th. Does shoot Vaart there in the 73 BMW with 5 minutes remaining and a few seconds. Remember that when the checkered flag drops, you can no longer start a flying lap, but you are still allowed to finish the lap that you are on. So if the checkered flag drops and you are still on a flying lap, then it will still count when you cross the line. Nard Cox in the Dark Sky racing car. We're definitely not seeing him set a lap time, as he have traditionally been not qualifying in the races and then starting from the back and seeing how far back up through the order he can climb. It could be a bit of a challenge this season, as there are 46 cars on the track. So that will be a lot of overtakes Nard Cox will have to do to climb up into to reasonable positions, but he is definitely a man who's up for the challenge. We have seen him doing this for quite a few seasons. If he wasn't, he could potentially be up there with the very top guys. He is a very, very quick man when it comes to virtual car racing. And not something else that relates to his surname, but who knows? Only his wife would guess. And through Mineshaft he goes. Could this be the day where Nard Cox actually sets a qualifying lap? Carmaulus Garvalini there going a little bit wide in Cheetah. That cheated him out of a reasonable lap time this time around. pushing it just a little bit too hard as he starts another flying lap. He knows he only have this lap and one more to improve, so he will be extra focused on getting this lap in. Big slide through turn 1. Maybe the tires have seen better days at this point. To say really from these pictures, but he's definitely giving it everything he have to try and improve that lap time and get further up than that 36th on the grid. Oh, and look at that, it's Milan Dumas of Miniature Racing, former Green Moose Racing driver. Haven't been around for a season or two. I don't remember him on track at least, so he'll be the comeback king this time around. At least trying to become so. Ferrari driver of heart, Mr. Milan Dumas. As there's just a Lambo parked there in the grass for no particular reason. 2 minutes to go of qualifying. So if you are in the pits, then you might want to really heavily consider getting a roll on if you want that final lap. Highly doubtful if you leave it for more than, I would say, 5 seconds that you will get it done. So people who are still in the pits are unlikely to go back out on track to get an actual flying lap in. As Milan turns around the first of the crocodiles. Second one then into Cheetah. What will he do here? Throttling through. Not using all of the track. Could have been a little bit quicker than just a tad though. But better safe than sorry in most situations. But this is not one of those situations, and he's not one of the men. What will he do? Still 16th as he crosses the line, starting his final qualifying lap. Going out on track with full speed, of course. He comes around. That's another one that yellow curb on the inside. They are very, very high on this track. You also just see from these pictures almost how big the wide parts of the curbs are. How tall they go. Through sunset. Brake tap it looked like. Summer Smooth have had 2 small moments, but nothing too serious. Good amount of that inside curb using all of the available track on the outside. Into the S as he goes. Some people take a lot of that first curb, others don't, but he did take a lot of that second apex curb that lost him a little bit of time overall in the schemes of what could have been. Into Leo Cup, hooks it in nicely on the inside. Could have been early on the front, also looked like he was on the ref limiter a little bit there in first. He goes, time is up now, so everyone that crosses the line will finish their qualifying sessions. Everyone with a P in the time board on the left hand side, they are done. And if they get a checkered flag in the I think it's in the green box that turns checkered, if they get that, then they will be done as well. Milan Dumas, 1 corner to go. Into 4th, will it be, or will it to third? Into 4th he will go, and across the line, 16th provisionally for him. As he'll be waiting for the last couple of drivers to go through. Conti across the line, 31st. It looks to be for him. No one behind that can take that away. The last strugglers are coming across the line. Leonardo Wolf Garcia could potentially improve. It's actually Tess Frederiksen who are the driver of the stranded yellow Lambo. But let's see what Wolf Garcia can do. Just a few corners, it's now or never. It could have taken a little bit more. It just goes into the pits practicing then a tricky pit entry. I actually once hit the inside wall when I went into the pits here. And I've taken out the pit board by accident because I was so focused on that wall on the other side as qualifying is over. Which means that we are holding a little 5-minute-ish break here on the YouTube channel. But while I'm gone, please put questions into YouTube, ask anything you like, and or maybe just tell us who you support in the YouTube chat, so we can maybe get a bit of focus on that in the race. But we'll be right back after these non-existent commercials.
Seconds. 20 seconds.
So we are back just as the cars set off onto the formation lap. Full formation lap in this championship. Michael Thomas leads the way from pole position. Liam Walsh dropped to third as Chris Winning came into that second spot and front row position. We have seen at Kyalami before that starting second often gives you a better run into turn one, as you have the inside for that small kink on the front straight. But this is when the drivers, they are getting into full concentration mode, figuring out what to do in turn one, imagining the different outcomes and what to do in certain scenarios. What if the driver head does this? What do I do? What if the driver 2 cars head does this? Should I then do that? Follow it or not? Just checking the MFDs to see if the strategies are set up correctly for the race. Figuring out exactly how to play this one. We are likely to see a good amount of cars jumping into the pits at the 30-minute mark in this one. As usual, as that would be the optimum strategy, as you have the best tires for the longest period of time in the race. Of course, getting a little bit of heat into the tires and brakes are important on a formation lap like this. It's always interesting to see who chooses to weave around on the straights and who chooses just to warm by using the brakes, and how much drivers puts into it. For some, it's just a mental barrier. Others, it's really important for them to just focus on something on this formation lap, just to stay in the correct mindset for when these races start. These guys are very, very focused on the task ahead. But will Michael Thomas just breeze out in front, or will Chris Winning, Liam Walsh, Van Liepstein, Fredrickson, Vargas, King, and so on, keep up with him and challenge for the win? Time will tell, and time will be coming in shortly for that to be answered. As we just have a few more corners of this formation lap to go. They are starting to form up in 2 rows in starting formation. Michael Thomas will be leading them to the start-finish line. Going around one last check of everything. Weather seems clear for this evening. Temperatures are good. Everything is about to kick off as we are going into the final corner of the formation lap. One last time we're going slow before it all kicks off. Michael Thomas from pole in the Mustang, Chris Winning from second in the Aston Martin, and ladies and gentlemen, we are shortly about to be racing! Looks to be a good start there for Michael Thomas. Tesh Fredrickson in the Lamborghini also seems to be having a good run. He could potentially make it 3 wide, but backs out of it into turn 1. Thomas still on the inside line there. Walsh getting side by side with Winning. Trying for it. This could be Walsh's opportunity as he challenges forward into turn 2. Walsh steals away second there from Chris Winning for just a moment as we see a car spinning out in the background. That's Van Liepstein in the Honda, who are turning the wrong way and have to wait for the entire field to go past him before being able to rejoin safely onto the track. Rough start there from the Honda driver of Samuel van Liepstein as he can get going. Finally, it's a long wait when you're sat there turning the wrong way. Andy King getting obviously taking advantage of that. Liam Walsh up into 4th position out of all that skiffle. Sorry, 3rd after that starting skiffle there. But Thomas still in the lead with Winning behind Walsh in 3rd. Fredriksson up in 4th, and Andy King, the other PSUK driver, up into 6th position already in this race. Good start for him. Peters in the 992, also up there in the 6th with Wolf Garcia behind Benjamin King off, and Sterling rounds out the top 10 here early on in the first lap. Grass being kicked up there and getting those dirty tires. That's so annoying coming into the final corner, as that really ruins your run onto the start finish line. Track cuts will be a thing in this race. You have 3 warnings, and the 4th one will give you the drive-through penalty, so that will be something to look out for, who gets those DTs in the race. Pryor also having a good start up into 21st, leading the AM class further down the field. Up here, different lines through turn 1. Benjamin King seems to be going onto the offense on Wolf Garcia. At least very, very close to. Let's jump off with Benjamin King, and let's see through Sunset, showing himself a little bit. They're trying to make Garcia aware that he's right behind. He will take advantage of every single small mistake. Looking for it, that not the best place to go for into. I think that's barbecue or something like that. That corner, or is that early on barbecue? I can't remember exactly. Into the S's, but now look at that attempt, showing himself. Dropped him a good few car lengths behind Wolf Garcia, which means King is still in 8th, or Benjamin King, we should say, in 8th, as Andy is further up in 5th. That would be a few cars already in the pits. Could be retirements early on, of course, but we'll have to wait and see with that. Peters in 6th, being chased by Garcia behind. It's a difficult place to be in this. How much do you focus on the car behind? How much do you focus on the car ahead? And can you stay away from the distractions and just focus on your own race? Look at that defensive driving further up. No, that's a car being lapped. I'm sorry, that's definitely a car being lapped. That red Ferrari that Tej Fredriksson is about to go. No, or is that actually a was going slow? No, that's Andy King. That's Andy King actually. Not a lapped car. That's Andy King and Tej Fredriksson duking it out down the front straight into the first corner. Sorry about that, Mr. Andy King. Thought you were someone else there for a minute. But that's Fredriksson, and that small defensive move there that brought all of the cars behind into this as well. Which means that Tej also have to look a little bit in the rear view mirrors. But Fredriksson and King, the 2 drivers in Italian cars, both very brightly colored, the green versus the yellow. The yellow flags are being almost machine gunned out on track early on in the race. Look how close they're still able to go to each other, still on very, very fresh tires. Let's see, does Tej go for it into Leo Cup? No, he stays behind here, opts to for the probably smarter move, maybe. Trying to get the better exit and then attack into the crocodiles, but not the best of exits. So you can just see how Andy King was able to take a slightly more tight line in the acceleration and gain that small distance that he needed to weave off any possibilities of attack there from Tej Fredriksson. Through Cheetah we go. And into the ink of the final corners, down the start finish straight again. Does that Lambo have the legs over the Ferrari? We'll have to wait and see. Not the best lines from either of the drivers there, but Tej Fredriksson tucking into the slipstream nicely there of Andy King. Definitely have the overspeed, but will it be enough? Doesn't look like it. Stays in behind, at least initially. Let's see what happens later on in the lap. On this race, this could be... Ooh, that's Benjamin King. Benjamin King have spun around in turn 1. I wonder if that was assisted or not. But that's Benjamin dropping a good few positions. Archie is there with the... that would be the triple 11 of Nick Vargas, who's also dropped all the way down to what would that be? 18th for Vargas. As he's just... no, maybe that's 17th, as he's 2 ahead of Benjamin King. Dave Hedges, the other driver involved in this one as well. still going with the team name of Rust, even though I think that he proved that he got that rust off the shoulders in last season with some good strong results from the semi-pro class, this time up into the pro division for Mr. Dave Hedges. And further up the field, this time Fredriksson and Andy King side by side. Into the Crocodiles we go. Tess Fredriksson just nudges ahead. Can Andy King get the switch back? In behind, he tries for the side. Oh, tucks in behind. It is very, very risky to go side by side through Cheetah. We have seen that going so wrong so many times, but when it you successfully do that, it looks amazing. Also big time loss if you go side by side. And now Fredriksson are a little bit in the need of getting the push on to catch up to the top 3 in the race. A good 4 seconds behind. Meraki still in, I think so. Ooh, that's Hedges, and that's Vargas as well, parked down the gravel trap. No, that was Bas van Melis. That was van Melis, I think, in the gravel trap. Hedges and van Melis caught out there. Bas still parked, not moving from Bas. I wonder if he has some sort of equipment malfunction as he retires from the race. Early exit there of round 1 from Bas van Melis. Very unfortunate. Michael Thomas in the lead, being asked if Mockery is still in the race. We believe so. Maybe Chris can have a look in the sheets and see if he's still running. And we'll get back to you on that one. Michael Thomas leads the way. 3 seconds lead down to Liam Walls as he's just raced out into the distance in the front. Wolf Garcia under pressure trying to put pressure on Peters ahead, it looks like. For the 6th position, and Mark is still in the race in 30th position at the minute. But look at that, Garcia definitely trying to push for this and getting time gains there on Peters, with Andy King getting closer and closer into range of Peters also. That could be playing into what could end up being a freeway battle for position. So that will be something to follow up on further down the field. Meraki up into 28th now in the purple Ferrari. He's under pressure from Van Liebenstein behind, that we saw having that spin early on in the race. I wonder how hard Meraki will defend from Liebenstein, or if he'll just let him slip by and focus on the task ahead of trying to get past Van der Voort in the other Ferrari, in the black Ferrari just ahead of him. Bas had a UE4 fatal error, we're being told in the background. Not that we know what that is, as Van Liebenstein does get the move on, so does Meraki up into 27th. That means that Bas van Melis' game crashed, and that's why we saw him being parked at a strange place. Maybe he caused that, or maybe Hedges just got collected. Unfortunate there for those 2 drivers, or all involved in that one. Could have been more, of course, we don't know exactly. Van Liebenstein makes short progress of it, and Moaki in 28th position there. Kevin Moaki in the City Walk, I think that's pronounced as City Walk car, if I'm not mistaken. That's a South Park reference. In the car that have the number that answers all questions, or the one question, the greatest question of all. The answer is 42, of course. Alderman in 29th also must have been involved in something, as we saw him quite far up the field earlier on in the race. He'll be next up for Moaki to defend from. But yeah, Alderman and Van Liebenstein on a little bit of a recovery drive. Nart Cox, by the way, already up into 19th position. I think that's one of the biggest position gains that we've seen in a long time so early in the race. Here we have him in picture even. Just one AM driver to go there for Cox, as he makes a little bit of a mistake that allows Patrick Travis to go back past him. So yeah, he'll have to re-overtake Patrick Travis for 19th, as Cox have dropped into 20th there. as he seems to be dropping again. Maybe he has some sort of a throttle issue, as it doesn't look like that he's on full throttle. Partis goes through. Next car behind will be Shelikins. Uncharacteristic of Cox to not be up there. I believe that Shelikins and Partis might be teammates with those very similar looking liveries at least. I think Nart have found the pace again. Stealing back 20 if it looks like there from Partis, breaking duel into Leo Cup. Partis still on the inside though. Who gets the better exit? Nart. Cox have a little bit of a slide. That McLaren seems very loosey-goosey on the setup. And Partis might have went off throttle there to just to try and predict that if Nart was sliding into his line, that he would still avoid the contact and not pick up any unnecessary damage. But Partis and Cox into a little bit of a battle here for 20th position. Cox making good ground early in the race, but it seems to have been slowed down in progression after you've gotten up to this caliber of drivers here in the mid pack of the field. And there's Shelikins and Partis. I think wonder if there are any team orders involved when they are racing. They have Kyalami behind in the Shelikins have a little bit of a drift he got on. But still on track though in 22nd position. That white Ferrari is a backmarker car. I believe as no position changes was made as the overtake was done. Further up we still have Matt Pryor leading AM category at the minute in a Mustang. 2 Mustangs, or actually all 3 classes are led by Mustangs at the minute, with Michael Thomas Blisters and Matt Pryor, the race leaders or class leaders at the minute. So that's interesting for Pryor. I wonder what Pryor's philosophy will be, taking the championship or the AIM championship, or going for overall positions, as he is quite far ahead of the rest of the AIM drivers. That could be something to keep in mind. So Pryor definitely on that early on. Ooh, that's a triple 11 that's gone off at Cheetah. We saw it parked out there. That's Vargas this time. Mode 11 not having a lot of luck this time out. Van Melis with the game crash, and now Vargas crashing out at Cheetah, winning up in third, closing the gap a little bit towards 1.6 seconds between them, and Fredriksson coming from behind, having slashed that gap into half at this point from after making the overtake on Andy King. So Fredriksson are still in it for the podium positions at least. If he can keep up the pace, of course, that will be. A little bit of a train forming down in from 16th and down, but also Danny McCutcheon, the lone Lexus driver, one of my favorite cars personally to drive, engaged with Castelli for 14th. Look at all those cars just ahead in a nice tight line. Then a big gap behind, it looks like. See what McCutcheon, the Lexus are tricky car to drive, but very good in a straight line, and reasonable under braking as well. Top sound the Lexus have also, especially in real life. You're not doubting that car comes flying down a straight and nearing you if you're set in a corner. Truly a wonderful machine to behold. Through the kink and into turn 1 we go. Braking on the about the 100 board into turn 1. Very hard on the brakes, but it's also very open. The optimum line is so far to the right hand side that it really opens up for a dive on the inside. But of course not something to really consider from this distance. It needs to be just a few car lengths close for that to happen. Van der Kran and Dumas. Ooh, Van der Kran getting close to the rear end there of Dumas. That puts him immediately under pressure from Blitzmer also. As this have turned out to a little bit of a four-way battle with Grieslich in the Magic 13 car as well. The battle for 10th. These four. Does look like that they are getting a little bit of distance on blisters behind. Not a ton though. And one attempt on a move further will put blisters right back into it. Further up the road, freeway battle as well for 7th position in the race between Peter, Sterling and Orff. Two McLarens and a Porsche in the middle. The McLaren sandwich with the Porsche filling. That McLaren almost hiding itself underneath the rear wing of the Hub Auto Racing. Wonderful to see so many battles happening out there on track. A lot of cars staking it close to each other. Really showcasing how close it is in the GT3 class and why this class is so popular both in sim racing and real life. It's top racing every time these cars go out there on track. Really giving a good showcase for why motorsport are so fantastic. So many different manufacturers can be so close to each other, jumping back and forward with the battles up to the battle for 10th position. Though Grieslich have gotten a little bit of a gap now to Dumas, so it's now Dumas, Blisters and Van der Kran. In this one, also Van der Kran dropped behind the Blisters, so there could have been a potential overtaking attempt gone wrong at some point between Van der Kran and Dumas, since Blisters got through Van der Kran and that gap formed to Grieslich. Blisters applying a lot of pressure to Milan Dumas. Two veterans of this particular championship. That Mustang down the front straight doesn't have the grunt to overtake the Ferrari in a straight battle for position. Let's see. He does have the full advantage of slipstream, but doesn't look to be enough this time around. Does take a slightly different trajectory in under braking. That does Patrick Blisters against Milan Dumas. Going into fighter jet formations, straight line, lots and lots of speed. Onto it, into sunset we go. Blisters still not there. Let's see if we can spot any differences in lines. Looks like Blisters have more speed through that, push him wider earlier. It is one of those corners where you can see 10 drivers taking 10 different lines on a good day. That Mustang looks to be a little bit more comfortable on the curbs though than the Ferraris. Both Ferraris avoiding the tall parts of the curbs and the S's, but Patrick Blisters seeing no problems in using the high parts of the curbs in the Aston Martin. Oh, sorry, in the Ford Mustang. I don't know why I keep wanting to call them Aston Martins, but maybe that's something with the Ford Mondeo and the Aston Martins looking a little bit like each other for a long period of time. Jordy Peters still applying the pressure to Sterling as they round the final corner and go on to the start-finish straight. Will the Porsche have enough to get it done on the McLaren? We do know the McLaren are not the strongest car straight line speed-wise, but the Porsche also not famously known for being super quick. Nowhere near close enough. Another victim in cheetah, it looks like, as we have yellows in that area. As we are on the bonnet, the very front part of the bonnet, almost on the bumper of the Porsche. just sort of get an idea of how quick it goes. It was Eiling, it looks like, who went into troubles there. This is also the time where undercuts start becoming a possibility. Going the 40 minutes on the tires. Fresh tires at this point doesn't give you a lot of overspeed, but does give you a little bit, so it is possible that there'll be some value in undercutting at this point. See how Jordi also takes a lot of that tall curbing and using all of the AstroTurf available to him. None of them seems to have hooked up that completely right. A lot of sliding there from Sterling coming out of Leo Cup. We saw that with Nat Cox as well in the McLaren. That could potentially be a McLaren issue today, that they have difficulties putting the throttle down. The 613s are stopped at a strange place on the track, and the run into turn 1. Moving very slow there, the LSM racing car, maybe coming out the pits unknown. Haven't pitted yet, so that seems a bit weird. Moving off the track, it seems to be retiring. Unfortunate there from Ivo van Dosberg. What a shame to see the cars dropping, but it is what it is. Nelson Abrinosa of the Abbey Racing team. I think isn't it Nelson who's South African of origin, or is that the other Abrinosa? I think he's just from nowhere, it seems like, but I do believe one of the Abrinosas we have had racing with us was South African, as he crossed the line in 36th or 35th as he gains a position there from a driver leaving the pit lane. We do see the pits starting to come in now. Oh, Abrinosa actually already taken his pit stop, even though a bit early. That could be a way to go, but he must have been involved in something, as he's also behind Dave Hedges that we saw involved in an incident earlier on with the crashed out car of the 11. That would be Bas van Melis that was crashed there. So yeah. Maybe not the best of days in the office for the Abbey Racing driver. We'll see later on. Alex Donaldson in the hoedown, slow down McLaren. Canadian driver. Fun livery on the car, though, I must say. Pretty nicely put together. Good use of the colors. 30th at the minute. I think he's 5th in the AM class as we are running. Prior, of course, being further up, and we can see on the current leaderboards on the left-hand side. Just taking it easy at this point in the race. It's all about settling in. Everyone can make mistakes in a race, especially in a race like this, and with a corner like Cheetah. It takes just the slightest bit of distraction, and you surely are going for an off. Is there any way the track map can be big? I cannot see the numbers as they are all too bunched up. Thanks, Go Drift King 44. Some support for Steve Parker out there, it looks like. Our good friend of the show, Steve Parker. But here we go. Tess Fredrickson have caught up to winning. To Chris Whitting there in the battle for the third place and the podium spots. A good time to catch up to him as they're closing into the pit stop round. And they're catching up to lap traffic, probably cars that already stopped, so that could be a consideration as well for pit stops if you want to get out of the possibilities of getting into that traffic, but you are very likely still to hit traffic at some point in the track if you go into the pits, as there are so many cars on track. But I don't think there is an actual way to make the track map bigger. Not when we're using the in-game track map, at least. But I think we have a pit wall up and running. Maybe Mr. Hill can confirm in my ear. Pit wall is up and running, and there is a track map on pit wall that could potentially help you. Pitwall.com. And there will be maybe we have a link in the YouTube description actually to our pit wall. Probably, maybe. I can't remember, but pitwalls.com at least there will be a way to get in and find some more data on the race for the people out there watching. We can have this very temporary, very large track map, but we are definitely moving it out smaller in the side, as this would be very distracting for half an hour to sit and look at. Now we can see the 44 in the final corner, just behind the 46, as Fredriksson are really closing the gap and really close to winning. He could potentially get a move on, or the opportunity to get a move into the crocodiles. Let's see what happens into the slipstream. He tugs. Does he go for it? No, not quite close enough this time around. He could potentially try and do opposites of Chris Winning. If Winning dives in, then I think we'll see Fredriksson staying out. Same the other way around, yes, and Fredriksson does come into the pit lane. He is the first of the very front runners to take the pit stop. Trying the undercut on Chris Winning. Let's see if it helps when Winning takes his stop later on in the race, if we remember that that's what happened. Milan Dumas in a 10th position, having caught up to the lucky 13th car of Grasik, Griesig in the big BMW. Well, that's technically battle for 8th, as Fredriksson have come into the pits. Cox in the pits as well from 13th position. Into the first corner, they win. Does Milan have enough to try for it? Someone's been around in the S's as well. Also easy corner to go off track, as those curbs are so big and treacherous. If your car's not set up correctly for those curbs, then it's then you can have a very bad time if you hit them too hard. How can you hit the curb harder, you might ask? Angle of approach. We're talking about if you're trying to change direction on the curb, that could also be a little bit of an issue for some cars. Dumas actually looked like he had a bit of a speed advantage there through the S's over Grieslik, but not enough to go for the move. At least not a place where you want the overspeed, as you can't really go for the move through the S's. It would be quite strange if you also moved out. Liam Walsh into the pits from 2nd, and Chris Winning as well. Winning probably trying to defend track position from Tesh Fredriksson. Let's see if Dumas and Griesling comes into the pits, or Griesling comes into the pits this time around, if they take another one. Again, if I was Dumas, I would have done opposite of Griesling in this situation, but staying out, wanting to get the overtake done on track, which is of course also the racing way to do it. Whoa! That was a car that came in hot behind Fredriksson. But no troubles for Mr. Fredriksson, as we have Winning in the bottom right picture, I think, and then we have Fredriksson here, Winning on the move, but looks like Fredriksson actually gets it done. Winning moving and getting up to racing speed as Fredriksson comes full throttle. There we have Winning on the inside. Fredriksson gets the move done. Overtakes by undercut through better pit strategy. Nice work there from Tesh Fredriksson. Winning will now have a lot of work to do to catch back up to Fredriksson for that 3rd place in the race. But of course, we still have a lot of pit stops to go. Walsh, lead driver of the cars who have pitted, and provisionally second, or well, second on sequence. Thomas comes into the pits, also with the fastest lap, Michael Thomas, in the race. We have seen Andy King in other races stay out a little bit longer than most other drivers and take the lead for at least a short period of time. I don't think it's that much of a good idea this time around for Andy King, as he does come into the pit there. So you have a good position on track, you have good track position already. Milan Dumas and Grieslik. Obviously, if I was Grieslik, I would probably keep staying out as they have no traffic, but there Grieslik goes in, Dumas stays out for another lap, trying the overcut and maintaining better speed. Trying something different. good idea to try and get the move done, of course, getting it done in pits, and it also means that Milan Dumas takes the lead of the race, at least until he makes his pit stop, of course. McCutcheon stays out as well, same does Castilli. Most other drivers have been into the pits. There are a few cars out there who still owes us the pit stop. That's of course what the yellow bar of the one indicates. That indicates they still have one mandatory pit stop to go. If it's green, then they have done all of their mandatory pit stops and are clear to go to the end if they have fuel for it. But we do highly assume that most of the cars out there have fueled up for everything. So that is grand. But Dumas enjoying his 5 minutes of fame in the lead of the race. Showing some, giving a little bit of a color splash as well for the front runners with that purple. Lovely purple. Let's see if Milan comes in this time around. It would probably be the smartest thing to do. Unless if you can see that he comes out into traffic, then it might be wise to stay. But there he goes into the pits. We go for Milan Dumas, race leader, at least on track, not on sequence. Looks like McCutcheon actually stayed out and takes lead. But let's see, Grieslich here, and that's Van der Kran behind him. So Van der Kran not getting it done on pit road in that battle. But again, Van der Kran that getting the braking slightly wrong. But not good for Grieslich. He came out in traffic with Van der Kran. That could potentially be what costs him the position to Milan Dumas, who's still in the pits, but he will start moving in not a lot of time. And then we'll see on the run into turn 1. Through here we go. Dumas dropped from the jacks and started moving. I think Dumas have done it and taken position around the final corner. Grieslich goes. Dumas on the throttle now on pit road. Let's see, it could actually be close. No, I actually think that Dumas drops behind Van der Kran and Grieslich. At least behind Grieslich it does drop. What about Van der Kran? Van der Kran just goes ahead on the run into turn 1 there. So a strong strategy driving there for Martin Van der Kran, who takes it up into 14th position. On these provisions, still a few drivers out there not to box. Cohen, Geens and Conti, 2 of them, I think. McCutcheon as well, having not boxed yet. And Castilli also, he's up there in second on track. But Danny McCutcheon in the Lexus, leading the race, coming into the pits, getting that little bit of time, fake time in the lead, doing the wide approach to definitely avoid that inside wall. It's Sterling in attack on Jordi Peters for 11th position, and good points because they will go quite deep into the top 10 once all the remaining drivers have done their pit stops. But Castilli chooses to stay out on track. That's a little bit surprising to me. Sterling that much, but it looks like Jordi Peters is looking a bit too much in the mirrors as he's not nailing the apexes. Good run for Cheetah though into Inge if we go. Again, it just looks like that Sterling have much better grip, that can take better lines than Jordi Peters. Down the front straight, this should be an opportunity for Sterling, as he does look for it. Will he go for it? Under braking, Sterling goes to the inside. Sterling gets it done initially. Does he maintain it? It looks like it. Sterling takes position away there from Jordi Peters. 9th now. Still with Castilli out there not stopping yet. Castilli in frame. White, red and green. national colors of well, the colors of the Italian flag, of course. I think they have sort of a light blue as a national color in Italy, sort of. I think going on the same with the Dutch and the orange, of course. But into the pits, Castelli goes. So Castelli and Conti, the two last drivers to pit, I believe. And Michael Thomas retakes the lead of the race with Liam Walsh in second and Tesh Fredriksson behind. Fredriksson 2.3 up to Liam Walsh. It is going to be a little bit of a stretch for Fredriksson to catch that time up and make the overtake. But further down the field, Nilsson Abrinosa and Matt Eiling in the battle for 31st. Ferrari versus McLaren. Mana El Mana. Machine and man versus man and machine. You can decide yourself who's who in this one. Overspeed there into Sunset, not the best place to go for it though, but tries to get Abrinosa into taking a more defensive line, maybe using it on the outside. That could have potentially gotten him the opportunities for the move into barbecue. Still not sure that actually is barbecue, but let's just say there's no barbecue. The other one, that's a clubhouse, the corner that I call barbecue. That's of course clubhouse. Why have no one corrected me in the YouTube chat? People watching this in watch back after the race will definitely be thinking, what an idiot not knowing the corner names around here. Nevertheless, Abrinosa seems to have gone a little bit there. Steve Parker, the drift king himself, 31st position. No, 41st position, sorry. Must have been involved in something, not usually seeing Parker this far down the order. In a Porsche this time around, we do want him to go back to the Mercedes and show off those mad drifting skills. I think we should have made a special video on that one race to showcase the legend of Steve Parker. It was at Paul Ricard at least a few seasons ago. If someone goes on YouTube trying to find that great race where he got the nickname. And a nickname that Halfstock, also not the worst nickname, I must say. Drift King is quite a nice one to have. Not the optimum way of driving a race car, of course, but still a pretty good name, or pretty good nickname. So still 43 cars in the race, although Benjamin King have been in the pits for a long time though. The 42 car have gone off in Chile. That corner claiming quite a few egos tonight. That's Markey. That's Markey that's gone off in in Chile. Oh, big damage on the front. He's definitely going in to repair that. Yeah, Markey coming into the pits of the car. Ooh, definitely some suspension damage. They're not getting it turned in pit lane also. Getting it stopped and going back on track. Just collecting the points for finishing the race could be worth it later on in the season, of course. But yeah, not the best of days there for Kevin Markey, having made contact to at least one wall. Of course, it could have been an assisted go off, not knowing that yet, of course, but time will tell. It's Sterling still on the hunt for getting ahead of Peters for 8th position. The McLaren versus Porsche battle. Pretty good gap up to Orff and pretty good gap down to Grieslich. So I don't think they'll be challenged by other cars. So I have possibilities to go and challenge other cars in the race, unless if they start fighting so much, maybe that Grieslich could catch up to them. Grieslich just holding on to that final spot in the top 10. Sterling really making himself wide there, showing himself all over the mirrors of Jordy Peters. Whoop. A little bit of a spin in the background from the background McLaren. Yes, this is Markey. Let's see what happened to Markey through the crocodiles. I think that is a cheater that keeps. Yeah, just it is the curve of cheater. obviously he's not the first one in this race to do this. We have seen so many yellows down there, but that curve is so deadly. I would lie if I said that I had never touched that curve and gone into that exact wall myself. That have happened quite a few times, even in very important moments of races. So that can happen to anyone, really. Not that I'm any good, to be honest. I was never that good on with the GT3 cars, but reasonable. I would say fairly reasonable. Just shining my own halo there. Someone have to do it right? Right. Turning still. He's been in this position for so long. Just looking at the rear of that Porsche. Maybe he's at a point where he's just saving a little bit of mental energy up to go for a final attempt. Final launch, final push, sort of say, for the overtake. Or maybe his tires is just giving a little bit up. Nart cocks up into 14th. That's McCutcheon that's next on the line for him. McCutcheon immediately going defensive down the front straight. Lexus versus McLaren. Don't think Nart will have the overspeed to get it down in the Lexus necessarily, as Nart goes for it. Big dive there from Nart. Gets it done and stopped on the apex. Good overtake there from Nart Cox on McCutcheon. Something Nart have been practicing a lot by starting so far down these overtakes. Definitely a man that enjoys overtaking. So now it's McCutcheon giving chase to Cox. If he can stay with Cox, of course, it is drive-through also for Milwaukee. That I did think he went a little bit too hot into the pit lane, so that could be speeding in the pits. That he's inserting further down the field in the AM class. A lot of cars close together there. Brian Lammers getting a little bit of a slide on, and that allows Marcy to catch right up to him. That's the white car behind. The two Porsches, the blue and the white, of Lammers and Marcy now getting close on track. But ahead of them was Michel Melis and Suk Vard, which was a four-way battle for position. And I would say two-way battles though. As Lammers definitely overheated his tires by getting that slide on. Looks like that Marcy definitely have caught up to him and have a little bit of an opportunity maybe to get this move done. Marcy on the inside there, and Lammers. Good move there from Marcy. Does Lammers get the better exit? No, doesn't look like it. Marcy up into 37th there. Strong move into Leo Cup. Great driving there from both drivers, leaving enough room as well from Lammers. Looks like Marcy is lacking a little bit. Could potentially be risky for Lammers to get close. When a car looks like that on track, I would definitely try and stay as far away as possible. Other battles going on. I was just about to say Scavargili and Van der Voort. Some argy-bargy there through the S's, but Scavargili, the Italian guy, gets the job done on Van der Voort there into 29th position. Scavargili. Not entirely sure how much I'm butchering that name. I'm terribly sorry, but that is difficult to pronounce when you are not native in Italian. Or at least it is for me. So you might just be known as that Italian guy. Other battle, Stephen Allen, and that's a lapping car that's coming through. I think that's actually Michael Thomas. Then putting a lap on Stephen Allen in the 49 car. Ooh, slow moving Porsche there. Mr. Steve Allen have promised to come join the championship for ages, so now he's finally here. Steve Allen is back. And back in style. Must say, fun colors, British colors. What might say, Mr. Hill? Quite possibly was the answer. Could be French. Could be many things. could be Dutch, could be Croatian, could be a lot of countries. To be perfectly honest, probably the most used color combination. American, of course, that's a good one, Mr. Hill. Panama, of course. Oh, big slide there from Steve Allen. Into the wall he goes. Steve Allen is off with 14 minutes to go. Does he get that? Does he get that car moving again? Looks like it, but I have to wait for clear room, and then I think that was on the exit of Cheetah, respecting the curb so much that he touches the grass on the outside there. Happening close to pit lane, so he moves it into pit lane and tries to get that damage repaired. With 20, oh sorry, not 20, what am I speaking about? With 13 minutes and a few seconds on the clock, Steven Allen takes a second pit stop in the race. Misha Melis. I think people are getting frightened by getting on the camera today. Looks like every time we go to places, people are making mistakes. But Misha Melis was battling there with Sjouk Vivard. Now dropped a few seconds behind Vivard and dropped behind Marcy as well. Marcy, the wider Porsche, further up the road. Which means that there's Lammers behind him, or behind Misha Melis. Behind her, maybe? Him, her, the person. Not entirely sure. Maybe we should ask Misha at some point. Danny McCutcheon. Still chasing Cox. It looks like Cox haven't been able to gap McCutcheon. So McCutcheon giving chase to Cox. And that's Martin van der Kraan just ahead. So maybe McCutcheon is just sticking with Cox to see if Cox can get it done on van der Kraan. Maybe try and sneak with Cox past van der Kraan. It's good with that Lexus. I love it when people drive it. Brings that special energy to a racetrack when we have the Lexus on. Nothing is really better than driving that Lexus in this game, I must say. That's ultimate fun. Other than the Jaguar with the twat meter. Measures how much of a twat you are when driving. It can also be total wattage or wattage, something like that, but I think it's the other one. Cox with the slide again there. Loose rear end from the McLaren. Woo! And that was McCutcheon getting hit of the camera's curse in Cheetah. I was about to say that's difficult for him in that situation where you have to go out of your usual way of taking Cheetah, having to lift off, coming in with less speed, meaning the car will also turn a little bit more with the same degree of input on the steering wheel. That can catch you out so easily, especially in that corner. And that I think is what caught out McCutcheon there. Michael Thomas, let's see if he falls for the curse of the camera. Highly doubtful that Thomas would do so, but you never know. 10 minutes to go through Cheetah. He takes it as easy as he can and as safely as possible. He does have a gap of 11 seconds down to Liam Walsh. Fredrickson not closing the gap on Walsh, but not by enough that he will have a good opportunity for the overtake, likely on board from within the helmet of Michael Thomas. Or at least inside the virtual helmet of Michael Thomas. From within the Ford Mustang. Let's just have a little bit of a listen to the car. Ooh. I got close. Something that I found a bit weird about the Mustang, when I drove it a little bit here, once it's not that long ago. It's probably getting some time ago at this point. About early fall last year. I found the gearing to be very strange in the Mustang, and to get maximum lap time out of the car, you really had to run with very low or near no TC at all. And that was a little bit of a challenge for me, especially getting used to the gearing of the cars. You can see it's only in 4th gear on the back straight. It's so different with the gears to drive than all other cars, I would say, here on ACC. Through Cheetah, he went once again. Now he's actually getting into a little bit of a traffic situation up ahead of him. A lot of that was the lagging white car that we saw early on in the race? I think it was. And then Vervaart and Vervaart into the wall. That was Marcia and Vervaart, I think. Unfortunate there for Sjoerd Vervaart, the THRC driver, getting collected there, probably due to the lagginess. But let's figure out what happened. I don't think that was the laggy car. That was Loop and not the laggy car from earlier. Or it could have been the laggy car from earlier. But nevertheless, Loop gets a move done into turn 1 on Conti and moves himself up into 27th position. With Hedges being next car up the road for Loop. A little bit of a way really to get up to Dave Hedges, but yeah, Bram Loop takes 27th position at least for the time being in the race. Still not a long time, but still time to go in the race as the clouds have started to come in over the virtual South African track of Kyalami. Not that it's overcast or anything, but small clouds are forming in the virtual sky. I wish I had a magic button so I could just go. That guard would open the heavens with rain just for the last couple of minutes, as the yellow flags are out once again. This time quite early on the track. Let's see what happened with that's the 19, the laggy car from earlier. Fart moving in, and then hard to say really, but definitely some lag going on there with the white car. And that was not Luke, just to clarify, but yeah, unfortunate really hard to judge situations when you're up against so much lag, and when you are the lagging car, you normally are not aware. Ooh, that's the one of the that's wins. That's when usually when you are the lagging car, you're not really aware that you're lagging because everything can seem very normal on your own screen. But Vance Vince have spun around waiting for a little bit of a gap in the traffic. He could be waiting there quite a while if he's waiting for a perfect gap. Park that way around. He would probably have been better off reversing alongside the inside barrier there and getting onto to the track where he wouldn't have to do a spin onto the ideal racing line. Because this is a place where you can sit for a long time. Still a few cars before there's a big gap in traffic. Could potentially go for it. Now it's very quick, but you have to wait 2 more cars, 1 more car until you have a very big gap where he should definitely go for it. Now he should start moving. And he does. Vaunder wins again, showing good racecraft of staying put and not doing anything silly to get back on track, and drops to last in the race. Back up to Jordy Peters and Sterling, as Sterling have actually gotten the move done and passed Jordy Peters finally, one would say, if he have been behind for quite a while. But whether or not that he can pull the gap and pull away from Jordy Peters, that will be the big question for Ed Sterling to answer. No, that's not Sterling that have got past. That's actually Peters that have caught up to off ahead of Peters. Sorry, I thought it was Sterling that had passed Peters there, but that's actually off. That's off that is ahead in the number 10 car. They're also so similar numbered with the 10 and 20. Wolf Garcia having a little bit of a Mark Webber race, being very discreet, but just keeping good results, not getting involved in anything major. Of course, up in 6th, just to see him in the front ground when we have the right angles. But Peters have found a way to close the gap to Orff and pull away from Sterling by quite a bit, actually. 3.3 seconds. Wow. To have been so much under pressure, that's quite impressive that he got that gap. Further down the field, McCutcheon and Martin van der Kran, argy-bargy there, but van der Kran not getting it done with Blisters right behind. Blisters and van der Kran have been so close together all race, almost locked into battle. As we've seen them earlier. Look at that, look at how close Blisters actually are. This is a three-way battle with three very, very different cars. The Lexus, the Mustang and the Ferrari. A little bit of a scenic tour of some gravel there. But look how close they are, and not a lot of time to go. Probably 2 more racing laps, if not 3. We'll have to see. It depends on when the leader crosses the line. When the timer hits 0, then it's when the race leader crosses the start-finish line. After that, determines when the checkered flag comes out. But look at that, Van der Kran under severe pressure now from Blisters. Blisters trying to go the long way around. He has to if he wants to get this move done in this corner. Opportunity to get a better run out of turn 1 there for Blisters, but Van der Kran seasoned enough to know how to position his car through turn, I usually call it 2, but that's not actually 2, that would be 1, 2, 3. It would have been down there. Into Sunset we go. Brew Clubhouse. Race leaders there, so they will have this one. And what will that be? Will that actually be 2 more laps? Because the leader will cross with just a few seconds on the clock. It actually looks like it'll be yeah, the leader will finish this lap with still a few seconds on the racing clock. So the leader is not yet on the final lap. He'll have this one and 1 more. So the cars ahead of him will still have current lap plus 2. Michael Thomas dominant performance today. He seems to be fitting very nicely into the Mustang. And again, Mustang leading all classes. Don't put there. Matt Pryor also very anonymous race from the leader of the AM class, and just maintaining it all race through, basically not getting involved in anything major. We haven't seen him on the screen, which is usually a good sign. We just get a little bit of him now as we are speaking, trying not to put the camera curse on him, of course, in the 72 car. At Matt Will Pryor. The team racing name, I don't know where that ad would be. I think that could potentially be an Instagram tag, maybe, or X tag of sorts. Hard to say. Clock is running out in 5 seconds. Then the white flag will be out for the leader and all of those behind the leader, in relation to the start-finish line, of course, as everyone would technically be behind the leader. So yeah, following the leader as per tradition, the bottom right hand screen, Van Liebenstein and Castilli close together on track. If Van Liebenstein haven't gotten the move done at this point, just some last lap battling. Peter's still on it, and down here a lot of cars in frame, a lot of battling also. That's a car that's got around, but Blisters, Van Liebenstein and Van der Kran all close to each other, and it looks like Van der Kran ahead of Blisters, and Makuchin have gotten away from them. If that wasn't the car that we saw spinning, the Lexus is up there as well. Castilli into the pits late on in the race. That could have been under fueling from Castilli. That's a miscalculation of the big ones, and one that hurts a lot when that happens. And having to come in for fuel at the end of a race. But very easy to do, as Michael Thomas comes onto the start-finish line, flashing his lights, winning the race. There we go, Michael Thomas takes the win. And that would be Chris winning in second. No, that's fourth. That's Liam Walsh, of course. This is the PSUK car. It's the PSUK car, and then Tej Fredriksson in third, and then winning will come in to take fourth in the Aston Martin. Andy King, good day for PSUK. 2 cars in the top 5. Very, very strong driving from both PSUK drivers, we must say. As Andy King now comes across the line, getting that 5th on the board. Big train of cars. Garcia actually have been caught by Orff here in the end, and Peters. And of course that made up for some close times over the line. Sterling as well, and Gleesling will round out the top 10. Strong performances all around. Let's just confirm the class winners. The AM class, Matt Pryor, that is confirmed, as the rest of the AM field have basically finished the race. So Matt Pryor wins AM, and Patrick Blisters wins the semi-pros. Strong results out there. Semi-pros, Van Dryle actually takes a podium. I haven't seen him all race, with Patrick Krevens in third. In the AM class, Loop in second, and Van der Wood in third. Rounding out the podiums there. Strong start to the season. Very, very entertaining race. Top action, of course, all the way through. We were thinking that Kyalami would bring that to the table, and Kyalami didn't disappoint us this time around. Flag to finish. Flag to flag, or what do you say? Flag to flag racing. And yeah, we'll go with that. Definitely a top evening on the track. And yeah, it looks to be a very interesting season, and if Michael Thomas can keep that up in the Mustang, then it will be surely a rough one for the rest of the field to keep up with him. Maybe we'll get the calendar up again here later on in the stream to see what's in store for the mighty drivers. Misano up next with another 60-minute race. Very, very different track from Kyalami. Not that many. Of course, the long back straight, but much more technical track than you would think. So interesting to see how the Mustang will perform. There's a lot of traction zones. Mount Panorama will be third on the calendar, if I'm not too wrong. The first of the 75-minute races. Also, different track. A lot of elevation trains on Mount Panorama, and the barrier so close, no room for error there before Zandvoort and the final round at Valencia. Of course, just waiting if anyone's coming in for the interviews in the interview room, as we're running a few highlights in the background, just to give people a minute or two to get here. Of course, in the strategy game tonight, we did see a few options. The undercut worked for some, which was good to see. Of course, in 2 weeks' time, it's Misano, so same strategies. But in 4 weeks' time, when we go racing at Mount Panorama, there was a little bit of a moment there from Fredriksson early in the race, but keeping it on track. But we will see when we go to Mount Panorama, when it's mandatory fuel only, whether or not that anyone opts to go for one set of tires through. Personally, I think I would maybe take the pit stop if you're anyways in pit lane. Then I feel like it would be worth it to take the tires. But some of the top drivers might disagree on that. we will just have to wait and see once we get there. Of course, that's in 4 weeks' time, so plenty of time to have a think for what to do when we get there. Nevertheless, I think we'll be rounding off this evening of racing. Remember to tune in 2 weeks' time when we go racing for the second time in the season. I've been Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver, and behind the cameras giving us the lovely, lovely pictures, as always, have been Grandpa Chris Hill. Bye-bye and see you all soon.